April 2008, Governor David Patterson asked me to become the executive director of the Port Authority. And unfortunately, it was an open secret. Everybody knew that the schedule for the projects and the budgets for the project were just completely unrealistic, but nobody had admitted it yet. And so Patterson asked me to go into the Port Authority and said, your number one job is to find out what's wrong with the project, why are the dates wrong, why are the budgets wrong, and get that project back on schedule and back on the budget. And I thought when I started that it would have been fairly, not easy, but it would have been a sort of typical, all right, let's just shape it up a bit, let's look at here, cut some corners, look at this, ask everybody to sort of pitch in, work hard. But it turned out after a very brief period of time, about a month, we quickly realized that the project was deeply flawed. So we spent 3.5, 4 months that summer of tearing the project apart, looking at every aspect of it, thinking about ways of saving time, saving money, making engineering decisions, and beginning to try to figure out how you could get this thing back on track. Because it had really reached a point where even the federal government, the FTA, was saying, if you don't get this right, we're going to take our money back. We made a fundamental realization, which is that you could not go by the 10-year anniversary without having the plaza completed. But what you had was this gigantic project which had everything in it. You had 10 million square feet of real estate. You had a museum below grade. You had a Grand Central like path station getting built downtown. You had new streets and roads. You had the tallest skyscraper getting built in America. And all of that was so large and so complex. And trying to build everything at once, you lost sight of building anything at all. So we looked at all of it and we struggled with it. We struggled that long, hot summer. And I kept saying to the team that the 10th anniversary, we must be able to deliver something. And that something had to be the memorial. It had to be that plaza. It had to be a place where the families could come. You began to realize that there were about 25 federal, state, and city agencies that were all involved in either oversight, funding, regulatory, advisory, and they all had a stake. Then you had the political stakeholders. You had two governors. You had the city council. You had the mayor. You had local representatives. And then you had all of the people who had to actually build the project. And you had this huge construction conglomerate that was created called Phoenix. The engineers came up with this incredible idea to build the project from the top down so that the plaza floor, where all the trees are, would be built first, and then that which had to be built underneath it would be built later. And so this top-down strategy is what allowed us to rearrange the project, and then most importantly on that incredible day of the 10-year anniversary, to have a completed plaza. And I'd met with the families for the 3.5 years of executive director. They would come in every 3 or 4 months, groups, representatives, and I'd seen how hard it was, the delay, the frustration, the competing ideas of what a memorial should be. People open weeping in our offices. So I'd seen it. And then that day, to have them have the chance to walk on and to be in the glade, to see the trees, and to have the name there etched in bronze. You could see, not for everyone, but for so many, it was a good moment for them.